Hey, I'm reviewing whatever you clicked on. 818, the album by Devil Wears Prada. It's coming out in a couple days. Coming out this Tuesday, September 17th. And, I'm gonna be talking about this album. It leaked, apparently. Some douchebag, of course. It always has to leak for some reason. It leaked, but the Devil Wears Prada has been premiering a couple seconds of each song on their Instagram, like through video or whatever. I've been sort of keeping up with those sometimes. But, it apparently leaked, and then a couple of days after that, the Devil Wears Prada put it up. They streamed it or whatever on some website, I forget. You can probably find it on their Facebook page or something like that if you want to listen to it. 13 songs on this album, just like the previous album, Dead Throne. No instrumental. There's no Kansas on this song. On this album, it starts off with Gloom, the first song that I reviewed. Because it was live, they didn't release a studio version of it. I figured why not, just to talk about it because I was so excited. And this is the first track on there. Live, it sounds a little heavier at some points. On the album, it sounds more refined, more studio, if you will. Live, it does sound a bit heavier. Martyrs and Gloom, they do sound just a tad bit heavier live. But they're still good on the album. I think I skipped over... I listened to the album about 2.5 times. I skipped over Martyrs and Home for Grave, because I listen to those songs a lot already. I'm not really going to talk about those because they're in another video. The album starts off with Gloom. The intro is so... I'm glad James isn't in the band. I like James. He's a good keyboardist dude. Although apparently he never really wrote a lot of the stuff. It was all the rest of the band. But John, the keyboardist or keys synthetic, whatever guy, he plays the keys, that he's helping the band out now, I guess. I've heard Mike in the band basically say John didn't join the band, but the analogy that he uses is that if two people are in a relationship and they're fine with not being married, then there's nothing wrong with just being in a relationship. And that's kind of how it is. I guess John has some other stuff that he does, like DJ stuff. If anyone wants to check that out, I don't know. The first song, right away though, the intro is so creepy and beyond anything that they've really done before. A lot of the keyboard work that they've done before, basically on Dead Throne, I guess, and Zombie, the heavier stuff that they've done with keys, this is a lot better. That's the first thing I noticed to kick off the album. The keys and everything are a lot better. Then, the one part that I was looking for in this song, where I don't know, there's like vocals, and then it goes into Jeremy, I think, playing these chords that just sound monstrous and deadly and just hard as fuck. That part's really cool. If you know what part I'm talking about. Then, the next song is Rumors. That was the first time I listened to that song, because they haven't put that one out before then. They put 3 out before. The chorus of that song blows away any chorus that they've done before, honestly, without a doubt. It's a lot more... I don't want to say that their choruses before with Jeremy singing is mundane or just run-of-the-mill or just routine, anything like that, but the chorus that they use in the chorus that they have in Rumors, it comes in with so much more emotion, with more character, with more of a presence, you could say. Definitely more character. That probably is what I mean to say the most. Jeremy sounds so much better on this album than all these songs. not that he didn't sound good on Dead Throne, I just feel like I said, he has more character on this album. He brings a sense of emotion and really singing. When in Dead Throne, sometimes it was good. Dead Throne is one of my favorite albums of all time. But comparing the singing on this album to the singing on Dead Throne, like I said, more character, just more upbeat, more, I liked how they progressed over time. The drums for this album is what I'll talk about next, I guess. The drums are pretty good in this album. For some reason, I do like the drumming in Dead Throne a little more. It's not so different or so bad, so lacking. It really carries over from Dead Throne. It's still good. One thing that I sort of caught later, listening to the album and some of the later tracks, is that I didn't really, no blast beats really stuck out to me. Where you have Born to Lose in the previous album, I'm pretty sure that was the first single released, the blast beats in that song, they're not like death metal, 10 billion beats per second or whatever. They're not super fast, but they're still cool, and they give a sense of aggression and, mainly aggression to the song, and it speeds it up, and it gets you all pumped up, like, yeah, this part's going to be really cool, and it is. I sort of felt that there was a lack of blast beats, and if there were, they didn't have the same presence as they did in the previous album. But that's not a bad thing. The drumming is still very good, I think. Daniel Williams is a very underrated drummer, in my opinion. The guitar playing, of course, probably what I'll get to next. The structure of a lot of the songs, especially War, is one of the newer songs that they did. I would compare that to Chicago on Dead Throne, as they've never done a song like that before, that structure with that style. Chicago was something new for them that they tried on Dead Throne. Has this post-hardcore, post-rock kind of feeling to it. Not War, Chicago. It was something new that they did. A new structure and everything. On this album, I'd say there's a few songs that just seem kind of new, refreshing. It's hard to believe for me because the Devil Wears Prada seemed to really do something new and refreshing on the previous album. But War, it starts off with Jeremy singing, and Jeremy singing, like I said, so much more, I don't know, he's come a long way, I think. Not that he was bad before, but he's come a long way. He's a very good singer now, I think, and it really shows. I'm excited to see if he can sing this well live. I'm not saying that he can't pull it off, but in Dead Throne, what they did that was one bit of a minus for me was that they doubled up on a lot of the singing parts, where they have, 2, 3 vocal tracks, and they would harmonize a lot of the singing, and it was it wasn't overproduced, but it just didn't have the same feeling live. Like, if you listen to Born to Lose, the chorus in that song, you can tell the difference between live and studio, because it's so, live it's just single. And some bands can pull it off, just making it sound better live, but it just had a bit of an empty feeling. And I wonder how he's going to perform a lot of these songs live when I see them in December. I'll let you know. But the singing is good. The guitar work is so much heavier. It has such a heavier sound. It's more progressive. It's faster. The riffs are chunkier, more diverse. A lot. I don't want to say. I'm not saying that any of their older music is bad or anything, but comparing it to Dead Throne, it's more progressive. It's just a little more progressive. Certain songs like First Sight, the intro track going into that song is so heavy and groovy, and intro track, whatever, the intro riff, I'm having a hard time thinking here. The intro riff, so heavy and, like I say, groovy, and it offers a lot more heaviness than I think what how do I want to say it? It's not that Zombie wasn't heavy. It's not that Dead Throne wasn't heavy. It's that it's a different style of heavy. That's just as heavy as some of the old stuff that they did. Just a different style, you know. And that worked out for them, I think, a lot. I'm giving credit to a lot of this to Chris Ruby, who is the mastermind, I think, of this band, coming up with a lot of riffs and the skeletons for songs, and I give credit to him. He did a wonderful job coming up with skeletons to a lot of these songs, and the riffs to really be, I guess, the muscle and the fat and the meat on the bone, which there's a lot of. Lastly, no, not lastly, the bass in this album. I have to talk about Andy and his bass. Andy does a wonderful job. The bass has a little more... The bass has always had quite a presence in The Devil Wears Prada. Certain parts of songs will sort of break open, if you will, and it'll be just the bass, or the bass will have its own sort of hooks, and I guess it will really take the lead in some of the songs. In this album, I feel it does that, but while backing up the guitar, the drums, everything, being the support and the backbone, it's definitely not lost in the midst of all of that. It's still there. I feel that it's very present in the album, which is something that's very cool. I noticed a lot in Martyrs. I noticed it quite a bit in, what am I thinking of here? Sailor's Prayer. One of the best songs on the album, Transgress. They have quite a few good songs on here. I wouldn't say any song on this album is bad, to me, just my opinion. But even taking the position of looking at it and trying not to be opinionated, I still don't see a huge weakness in this album at any point. Lastly, the vocals. Mike Haranica, what he did carry over from this album, from the last one, that I was really looking forward to. This is sort of post-hardcore, scream, post-rock, whatever you call it. He carried that over, and it was wonderful. He did a bit of a variation on it, like if you listen to First Sight, later in the song, the bridge, I guess, if you will, I guess the bridge, maybe the later half of the song, like 3/4 of the song. He did a bit of a variation on it, not so much as just yelling, but it really, he added character to it. This album, I really think the Devil Wears Prada found their sound with this album. They discovered it, I think, Zombie, they magnified it, and Dead Throne, and they really did discover it and really expose it in this album. The vocals, Mike Haronica's vocals sound much more raw in this album than they did in Dead Throne. They sound, like I said, raw, more of a live feeling to them. A lot of people said they sound weaker, comparing it to Jeremy, who sounds a lot stronger in this album. I've heard people say that Mike Haranica sounds a lot weaker, that he's trying too hard for something, which I don't quite know. Live, when I saw them, I've seen them before, he sounded good to me. Their live DVD, CD, Dead and Alive, I thought he sounded off, but still good. Maybe it's just an off night. But I don't know. He does sound... He's doing something different, I'll put it that way. I don't know if he's going too hard for something. Maybe when someone interviews him, they can ask him that about his vocals. But until then, I don't know. But I like what he's doing. I like his lows, I like his highs. His highs definitely have more character in this album, this group of songs, rather than Dead Throne. Dead Throne is very smoothed out and very produced, and it sounded good. And this album is just a little more raw. And overall, this album, it tones down. It's a little more toned down, a little more, is produced differently. Their last album was very how do I say it, grand at some parts. The guitar was very, very heavy. Not that it isn't on this song, it's just produced a little differently in the last album. I mean, this album, not work. But overall, I feel this album is more toned down, more even out. They're really showing that they've discovered their sound and that they know what to do with it now. And this is the direction that they've been coming to this, I think, for a little while now. Ever since even parts of With Roots Above. They've been coming to this, and I'm glad they finally got here. 13 songs on this album. Best song, I think, is Rumors. Very good chorus. The breakdowns that they use in the song are still good. The riffs are good. Everything's just good, I think. A very wonderful album. I would have to give this a 10 out of 10, honestly. I'm very opinionated, very biased. My favorite band. I have to give it a 10 out of 10. Even if I'm not opinionated, I would still give it a 9.5. But because I really like this band, and you know, you have that connection with the bands that you really like, I would give it a 10 out of 10. So definitely listen to it. It's streaming somewhere, or wait and buy it. I recommend you buy it either way. And it's good. It's definitely good. So it's good. Very good.